the CBC or CTV video. And I think that was pretty much it. Really high level overview.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so thank you all for even inviting us to be a part of this meeting. We're really honored. Honestly, for Paul and I, we're definitely really honored at all because we originally created a brain for the Yukon, and we're really, really excited to bring it to BC as well. And that Cheryl reached out to us. She also watched the CTV news, but she actually saw it live, and reached out to our team to learn more about it. And the original reason for creating this brain was that we have or had and still do have a toxic drug crisis in the Yukon, as everywhere else in the country. And it was becoming, just really overwhelming for community, friends, family, just loss after loss after loss. And a colleague of mine, somebody that I work very, very closely with, she is a First Nation leader in our community and had been a part of social labs before across the country, had been invited into these social labs, but we'd never hosted one ourselves here in the territory, and definitely had never hosted a First Nations led social lab. And we thought that a social lab would give us the opportunity to bring a whole bunch of different kinds of people together to look at some potential solutions for this giant problem. And the question that we had was, how do we keep youth alive? And that was the question. And then they had several weeks to come up with different prototypes. We came out with, I think there was 8 prototypes, and a lot of them are actually in action right now, probably 4 or 5. But one that didn't even remotely get touched at the time was the one connected to education. And that was because felt like a really daunting task to figure out how to integrate this very hard conversation and complex conversation into curriculum in a big way and in a quick way. But it got us thinking about some ideas about how you could do that. And some of the ideas we had were like to create a theater like program that could travel around to schools. But everything was about creating something else that we would either bring to the youth or the youth could come to. And in doing so, I remembered that I had a friend named Paul, who lives in Calgary and who I'd worked with before, who had a big giant dome. And we laughed at the time about the commercial that was, about cracking the egg in the frying pan. And Cheryl's heard the story a lot of times now, but this is real. We were like, remember when they cracked the egg in the frying pan and said, like, this is your brain on drugs? And we were all like, okay, but we didn't know what it meant. We just knew that we were afraid. And we thought, what if they helped you to understand what that actually meant? If there was more to that story? That was the story, like it got us all of our attention, but that was kind of it. And so we realized, like, what could it look like or what could it feel like if you were inside your own brain? And along came Paul Magnuson, who has a company called Big Art, where he just does that, makes big art and has this dome. And we thought, we called him up and we asked him, do you think you could turn your dome into a big giant brain? And he said, sure. And so Tosh, who, as I said, is a leader in our community, said, okay, let's just do it and we'll figure out the rest later. So 10 organizations came together with the shared motivation of obviously keeping youth alive, but youth being the shared motivation. And we built the brain from scratch with stories, science, in many cases, there was a lot of Yukon context in the original conversations. Like it was just about how do we create a brain for Yukon youth that they could connect to in a different way.
So, sorry to interrupt you. Is Gary with you because he's in the lobby? Should I admit him? Gary.
Gary?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking us?
No, don't let him in.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
And so the shared motivation was youth, and because the dome itself, Paul has traveled around the world with this dome, and the dome pops up and becomes a place for people to be and for people to share an experience. And so we knew it was an opportunity to kind of have a pop-up connection with community, and to have it hosted for over 2 weeks. We knew we'd be able to hit a lot of youth, but also we would be able to program it outside of the times where the schools would come through and experience the brain. We'd be able to program it outside of that. And the programming outside of that could be anything. And Paul, we laugh about this, but 100%, Paul is open to anything. He feels like when this technology is in a space and in a place, the idea is to use it and to learn from it and to grow from it. And the whole idea behind this is that before anybody enters the dome, they have one way of being. And when they leave the dome, they think in another way. And we knew we had the opportunity to capture them in the middle inside of this dome and share information with them and give them knowledge that when they left, they would leave different as different people. And that was actually our goal. Cheryl has her hand up.
Well, I just know that we have very limited amount of time in this meeting, and I'm just wondering if there's specific questions that Chief and Council from Lheidli have for us that you would like answered today.
Okay, unless you were going to go.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
no, go ahead.
Okay.
No.
I guess, and I think I kind of expressed this, like not wanting to invite ourselves onto your territory or like push on in any way, that the just the options of if there were any of coming out while it's in your territory for us to come. I know you've got a really good plan and schedule and stuff. So again, like not wanting to impose, but if it was a matter if we could bring some of our youth there while it's there for 2 weeks, or if there was just maybe a couple people from the community, a youth and a council member or a chief or whomever could go and experience it. And then if it could come back this way, I know there's lots of logistics for like transport and a setup and things like that. So I guess if like we talked about it and it was something we might want to do for our community, what the best paths, like what the options were.
So definitely, as I had said, like we would love to have you come join us as guests. We've got a number of slots where we have youth coming out. I guess what I would like to know is what options are you really most interested in? Would you guys want, like, how many people? The dome holds comfortably about 40 Hey Kelly at a time, max. So would you guys want to have one of the time slots to be a Lheidli piece? Or would you like to have, like what you said, maybe have a couple of council members and a couple of youth join into one of our other, already, groups that we'll be going through as guests, so you can experience it and then decide what's going to work best for your nation, whether you engage locally with your own local school district, which is what we're doing here. Like we're working with our school district to really reach as many youth as possible, to educate them. Knowledge is power, and that's really what we're wanting to do, is empower our youth with the knowledge to make informed decisions around all forms of addiction, understanding themselves, whatever that, we're just feeling that this is something that can really start to change the trajectory for some of our youth, where that's what our goal is and our hope is in this work. But I just really wanted to check in, of course, being our neighbors. And of course, we would love to have, a delegation from Lheidli come, if that's your wish, to try to make a spot. We might ask for a donation, like we have an in-kind opportunity and that will be part of the presentation that Kelly can share, ways that you can contribute to the work. So really, I guess if you have any questions, that's why I was wondering, like, if you guys wanted to have this come to your region, I think that would be fabulous for you to have this as many youth in the north as we can reach. to me is crucial time right now for I would really support you guys doing that in the Prince George region. But there's two ways, I guess. One is have a small delegation come to join us, and then sort of go from there. What would work for you guys? Another way, and I'll let Paul talk to that. He had talked about, a possible schedule, a possibility. I can't speak to his and Kelly's possibilities as well, but I just think that this is going to be quite impactful in a good way for our youth, and as many as we can reach in the north with this drug crisis that's going on. I feel that the work is really worthwhile. So I guess that I would put that back on you, but I guess you would want some more information, right? Like, to make your decision, you would need some more information.
I see it as communities building relationships, especially with our children. I think I don't